Today's walkthrough will be on the test strategy document, which is the InView Web April UAT test strategy document. So this is the testing document. So both teams, the UAT team and the QA team, will have their own test strategies, right? What is the purpose of the strategy? The purpose of the strategy is to actually document exactly what they'll be testing, what all goes into it, maybe even have test cases and things like that attached. So I have that attached here. So this is from one of my applications called InView Banker Web. This is an April 2013 release, UAT Test Strategy and Plan, version number 3, okay? Like all our documents, this document also has a program name. It has a project ID, all right? And then this document also has a document history. So basically the purpose of the document history is to, show how the document has gone through different updates and the purpose of the update. So this document has gone through 3 different version updates, right? It has the date, it has the status, and it has the author, who's the one that updated this document. And it also has the comments or changes from the previous version, right? So of course, this is a UAT test document. So Govind Raj was our UAT lead, UAT test lead, okay? And you can see this was the version that he came up with on the 25th. They did a review of the document. Another new version came out on the 28th, which included the framework test scope for Allison's comments. Allison is our business stakeholder, right? And then the last version came out on Feb 13th, which had the updates from Sandra Visano. Sandra Visano is a BA, and she did some updates on the opportunities test scope. Okay, so they did reviews, got feedback. Feedback resulted in updating the document. Everybody clear? Yes.
Yes.
All right. The next table here is your document reviewers and approvers. So you can see there's a bunch of reviewers that were reviewing this test UAT test document. And you can see there are also approvers. So you can see all these people are responsible for not only reviewing this document, but also providing their approval. Approval meaning sign off. And who are these people? Who is Anna, Sandra, Don, Bex?
BAs.
All the BAs. So why are the BAs being tasked to approve a test document? What do you think?
Because they were like a part of this project and they were from the start of this project.
Well, of course, they're part of the project. That's without doubt. But why would you have a BA up on the test document is the question.
And they can also test it because like they were working
No,
with the team.
no.
They can confirm that the test covers all the requirements.
Right. The testing is based on what?
Requirements.
The requirements. And who's managing the requirements? Who authored the requirements? Of course, the BAs are not the source of the requirements, but the BAs did put together the requirements document, right? What are the requirements document? This was a traditional project. What were the requirements document?
BRD, FRD,
BRD and FRD. So who do you think wrote the BRD and the FRD? These,
PA.
right? And since they wrote it, they are the best ones to confirm that the testing scope covers the entire set of requirements. And if it doesn't, that's why Sandra, remember the reason it got an update? Sandra gave some update on the scope of one of the modules, right? And she did that when she reviewed it. Everybody clear? Understand? It doesn't always happen like this. Many times the business stakeholders themselves are put in the place to sign this document off. Okay? All right, any questions? All right. So as I said, always, you should always know the content of your document. So if somebody ever asked you, hey guys, what all goes into a test strategy or a test plan? right? This is what you should be able to tell them, right? Well, typically it will have a project overview, it will have the test strategy, it will identify, what was the type of functional testing they will do, what type of regression testing they will do, what type of sanity testing do. Of course, it will have the entire test scope in there. It will have the entry criteria, it will have the exit criteria, right? It will identify any kind of assumptions, dependencies the testing team has. It will identify what the defect tracking and reporting mechanism will be. You understand? That's how you answer these questions. You don't say, well, the testing has the test strategy as the test strategy, the plan. Now, that's not what he's asking, right? He's asking how much understanding do you really have of the testing cycle being a BA, right? You said on your resume you worked with a testing team. How have you worked with testing team? You understand? Everybody clear? I'm not going to go through each one because we're going to be reading about each one of these in a few minutes, okay? So from this point on, I go silent, you start talking. Everybody clear? So we will go right down the order, all right? So do read it while understanding it, okay? Because I will ask questions on it, what you have read, and I will ask the class also questions. Your job when you're reading it, and of course it's going to be easier when you are actually in this project, you will understand it much better. But when you are presenting it, you have to present it in a logical way, meaning you have to be clear, precise. I'm also going to be looking for things like uh, we have tendencies of using breakers in our speech, so I'll try to catch that also if possible. Okay. All right. So Mohammed, we'll start off right at the top. You are better up. Number one, purpose of this document. Please start.
The purpose of this document is to define the UAT and strategy for the upcoming implementation of the InView Banker web application. April release for US, LATM, TAM, EMEA, and AP regions.
Okay, so we read this as US. LATAM stands for Latin America. Okay. EMEA. EMEA. EMEA stands for Europe, Middle East, and what's the last A?
Asian Pacific.
Asia Pacific.
Wait, last A of EMEA.
Oh,
I was describing EMEA, right? That's why I said Europe, Middle East. What's the last A for EMEA?
Europe.
Europe with an A.
Oh, no. Asia and that.
The E is for Europe.
Yeah.
The ME is for Middle East. Underneath Europe.
East,
Oh, actually to the right of Europe. What's
East
the A
Asia.
for?
East Asia.
East Asia. Oh Lord. अच्छा भाई वापस से जरा EMEA का breakup देना. Tell me EMEA's breakup one more time. What does the E stand for?
Europe.
Okay, what does
Middle,
the ME stand for?
Middle East.
Middle East. And what alphabet is left?
Africa.
A.
A. Africa.
Africa.
When was the last time you picked up a map, man?
Ah,
Okay. A world map, not your city map, okay?
not Google Maps.
Google Maps, yes. Google Maps extremely expanded on the outside. And then you have AP region. AP does not stand for Andhra Pradesh, okay? What does AP stand for?
Asia Pacific.
Asia Pacific. All right. So this is a global application. It has 3 different regions, 3 different logging in access points. Okay. Continue.
The document's objective is summarized below. Define the strategy and scope of the user acceptance testing for an in-viewer bank web application. Outline the interface behavior between in-view banker and other systems. OneSource, Project One, OneSource CRM, Hedge Fund Navigator, GMIS, Alerts, PAT, etc. Define the timelines for UAT deliverables to ensure effective UAT execution. Outline assumptions and UAT preparation activities. Define the functionalities and enhancements to be validated as specified by the business requirements documentations and maintain clarification tracker. Define UAT procedures including defect tracking, acceptance criteria, status reporting, and project closure. List the roles and responsibilities. The UAT strategy and plan may undergo revisions due to changes in scope, strategy, and other aspects of the plan made by the business and technology project teams over the course of the project life cycle leading up to the completion of UAT execution phase. Such revisions will be communicated via email to the responsible stakeholders.
Any questions here, guys? Okay. So everybody clear what he read? Everybody clear on these bullets? Any questions on the bullets? Okay. Well read, Mohammed. I know you're fasting, so we won't make you read anything more. We'll try to keep these small and continuous. Your class is small, so you'll probably wind up reading it again. All right. So the next section is the project overview. And in the project overview, they're actually using a diagram to identify. What kind of diagram is this, guys? What kind of diagram is this? You've studied a bunch of diagrams. Name which diagrams you've studied.
UML?
UML is not a diagram. UML is Unified Modeling Language. The diagrams are under UML. What UML diagrams have you studied? All right, I'm going to go from the bottom. Sayyid, name one.
Use case diagram.
Use case diagram. Samraksha, name another.
Process
Samraksha,
flow,
process flow. Okay, what's another name for process flow?
flow chart,
Flow chart. What's another name for flow chart?
Form.
What's the third name?
activity diagram,
Activity diagram. Very good. All right, process flow diagram, activity diagram, or a flow chart. All right, Sahiba, name another. Sahiba, name another. Sahiba, can you hear me? Sahiba going once. Sahiba going twice. Sahiba, where are you? Wake up. रोजा शुरू होने का वक्त हो गया है. All right. Sahiba is MIA. She logged in from her phone and she is out. All right, let's see if Sahiba joins back. Rahman,
Yes, sir.
name one diagram other than the two that they named. They named use case diagram, they named the activity diagram, process flow, or flow chart. Name another one. Guys, if you can't name the diagrams, forget about what they're for, what is in them, and stuff like that. If you can't even name them, you guys think you're ready for the evaluation? Good.
Not streamlined. It's not
Swim lane diagram, okay. Yes,
Swim
lane diagrams, you've studied them, correct. All right. Jose,
Context diagram.
Context diagram, also known as, you picked the tough one. You picked the one that has 4 names.
Yeah, I remember the name. Just
Yes,
I would
context
say
diagram or,
UML. No.
arey yaar, they're all UML.
Yeah.
Bolo?
What's the other name?
Rahman, you're not on mute, by the way. Or Sayyed, you're not on mute. I don't know who's got people behind them.
No, I'm on mute.
Okay. Ozair, why are you running on mute? You're not done yet. You gotta name the other ones.
Yeah, just kids are here, so
The kids were yours. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was Rahman's. Yeah. So, what are the other names? Class, please help Ozair. Ozair's feeling the rosas already in the morning.
Do we
Mine
have
is not working.
do we have a deployment diagram?
No, not deployment
no.
diagram. I never taught you a deployment
Not-
diagram. DAs
yeah.
never do deployment diagrams.
Data flow.
Data flow, very good. Data flow, what are the other names?
Interface.
Interface. Samraksha is to the rescue. Yes, data flow, interface. What else? What are the other names?
Entity relationship.
ER, entity relationship. Very good. And then the content and context. Ozair,
Sure.
you gotta know these by heart. You know, when somebody asks you, what's your name? Know how fast you answer that? This answer should also come that fast,
Okay.
right? So, data flow, right? Interface, entity relationship, content or context diagram. All right. So, Muhammad, name one that we studied. No problem, Muzair. Muhammad Sayuddin,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one.
unmute करके think करो ना, तो I know that you're thinking. Guys, the entire damn slide number 9 is nothing but diagrams. You can't name another diagram in that? Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry I wasn't available for the last few weeks, 2 weeks, because I had kidney stones and other, so I'm not entirely caught up with everything.
All right, you gotta catch up because
Yeah.
they're gonna make catch up out of you
Do we
in
ha-
the evaluation if you don't catch up.
We have swim lanes diagram.
So you already said swim lane.
Oh, sequence diagram,
Sequence diagram,
state diagram.
state diagram. Somebody's finally opened the slide and browsing through it. Go ahead.
Class diagram.
Class diagram.
So what about activity diagram?
Activity we already said. Now process
Okay.
flow activity we said. Sequence was nobody had said. State nobody had said. Class nobody had said. Swim lane they're still named, right?
Right.
So these are all these different diagrams. You should know these diagrams. You should know the purpose of each diagram. You should know what the things go into the diagram. For example, in the use case diagram, there are 3 elements, right? What are the 3 elements of the use case? Seriously,
The actor.
actor, which is a stick figure.
Yeah, the
The use case itself,
yeah.
which is a
circle.
not circle, oval.
Oval. I'm sorry, sorry, and
figure.
the script.
And the line, right? The
Right,
solid line
yeah.
shows the relationship. And then you may also have dotted lines also, which show relationships,
Yes.
right? Use case diagrams are easy. It's very simple. High-low, right? Process flow diagrams have a lot of different symbols, right? But the 3 most important ones are, of course, the diamond, which represents
Decision.
decision. You have the process, which is as a
Yeah, we have to pass or yes or no.
no. The process, I'm just talking about the figures. Diamond is decision. Process box looks like a what?
Square a rectangle, square is rectangle.
We try to keep it rectangle, right? Don't go for a square, right? And then the other one is the start and the finish.
Start.
Is a rectangle with curved corners, right?
Yes.
Circular rectangle, sometimes they call it, right? And then you have, of course, the arrow between these figures displaying the direction of the information, right? Okay. So question, what diagram do you see in front of you in this page? What would you name this as?
Like a
Which one?
data flow? No.
Babe. Hold on. Who is Hobabe?
I don't know.
Hobabe. Never heard that name before. You guys remember Hobabe?
No, sorry.
Hey, sorry, I was in mute.
We figured that part out. So you're here on the last day of class. What's going on?
Joined earlier too, but like I guess you didn't see.
When
I
did you
was on
join
and off.
earlier? So you're behaving like a Pakistani Bijli? Having load
Sorry?
shedding all the time? You know, like
No, no, no.
Pakistani electricity is like that, right? It comes and goes at its free will.
No, actually, I'm currently I'm working, so like I had some projects to do over the weekend, so that is the reason I couldn't join in the previous lecture. So I'm planning to do it, like the next batch as well, with a little bit more focus.
Okay, good. I was like, he's showing up on the last class. I'm like, I don't remember having a conversation with him. I don't remember sending him any material.
Yeah, that is true. But luckily, like I was able to join this one because past couple of weeks was so hard for me. So sorry for that. So
No problem.
next session, you will be the one leading it, or some else other teacher will have.
It would most likely be me because I
Okay,
think
that's
next demo they're looking to kick it off on next Sunday. So you're still 2 weeks out. So next Sunday will be the new demo, and then the following week will be the kickoff.
okay, right. So next week demo, and then after that. So if you can share the you or I have been asking somebody, Irfan, I guess, to share me all the recordings for these
Yeah,
lectures. If you
Irfan is the one
if
that has that access. I don't.
okay, I will ask him because before I join that, I would want to go through with all these, so it will be a little bit more
Sure.
easier for me to understand. Thank you, sir. I'm just here to see how
Listen
it
in.
goes. So
Okay, no
I
issues.
not try to bother you guys.
No. It's not a bother. I typically like make everybody, come off of mute and I don't let him sleep, right? So that's why
Yeah,
whenever I see a name, I'm like, okay, so this is somebody new, but it's really late in the game to be new.
yeah,
Okay,
right.
got it. All right,
You will see me from next week for sure.
inshallah. All right, Muhammad, you've got your hand up again.
Yeah, so you said that today is the last class. Is today the last class or is tomorrow the last class? Because I got a link for tomorrow as well.
Neither is today the last class, neither is tomorrow the last class. Any other choices?
Hmm. Next Saturday is the last class.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the thing on the screen is like a sequence diagram.
No. Sequence diagram, no. Sequence diagram goes in which document? Sequence diagram, when we were talking about sequence diagram, where does the sequence diagram go? Goes into the design stage. What is the design document?
Got it.
DD. TDD. What does TDD stand for? Come on, boys and girls, you're losing all. Correct. Technical design document. Very good. So the sequence diagram you would find in the TDD. What's the other diagram you would find in the TDD? We talked about two main diagrams that you find in the TDD when we were doing session number 9. Slide.
Yes, sir.
The other one was?
Sequence was and the unified modeling language.
But
Class
yeah,
diagram.
leave unified modeling language alone. They're all UML.
The class diagram?
Class diagram.
Yes,
Correct.
sir. Yeah, I'll put both the name over there. So
That's like Ozair, what kind of car you're driving? Sir, I'm driving an automobile. What?
yeah,
You know? So UML is the automobile, okay? You gotta tell me the actual name of the diagram.
yeah.
Understood? All right. Guys, this diagram is a,
Context diagram,
you
because
can call it a context diagram, but that's not the best name. But yes, it would qualify as a context diagram.
there is a relationship.
Entity relationship? Yes, you
Yes.
can call it an entity relationship, but that's still not the best diagram. That's still not the best name. Guys, the best name was read out to you. You guys not paying attention. Muhammad, please read bullet point number 2 again, one more time.
Outline the interface behavior between InView, Banker, and other systems. One source, Project One, one source CRM, hedge fund navigator, GMIS, alerts, PAT, etc.
What kind of diagram?
Interface diagram.
Interface diagram. Don't you see what he just read in that sentence now visually being represented to you?
Yes.
Right? You guys didn't pay any attention to that line. Now that you're seeing the diagram, does it make more sense? Seeing it this way?
Yes, sir.
Now you understand why a picture is worth 1,000 words? Which is my system here. Which one is my system? Oh Lord.
The View Banker app.
InView Banker app, right? Web, InView Banker web.
Sorry,
The
yes.
big black box in the middle, right?
Yes, sir.
And what are these red boxes inside the black box?
Uh,
Modules,
modules, yes.
okay? And what are these modules? Portfolio, opportunity, vault, insight, notification, banker book, video chat, right? These are major modules or major functionalities of the application, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you see on the right side, that red box on the right is what? Source system inputs, right? Into the InView module. So where does portfolio get its data from?
From PAT.
From PAT. PAT stands for Portfolio Analytical Tool. Where does opportunity get its data from?
Hedge funds navigator.
Hedge fund navigator. Where does vault get the data from?
DMS. Project
Insight.
One.
Insight.
Inside investment research.
Correct. Where do the notifications come from?
Alerts.
Alerts. You see that? So another good name for this would be data flow diagram,
Okay.
which is another name, right?
Yes.
Isn't it showing you the data? What is the data that is coming from one source?
Yes.
What kind of data comes from one source? Relationship?
Relationship info.
Correct. What is coming from one source? CRM. Too small, you guys can't read it.
Pipelines, call reports, account plan.
Correct. Right? Where do we get our financial data from?
Project One.
You see all this information that is in this diagram? What are the two different types of feeds coming into P1? I mean, into InView Banker?
Source system and GMIS.
No, feeds.
Okay, GMIS.
and
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg. So we have a Bloomberg feed coming in as well as GMIS feeding data, right? Clear?
Yes.
You should have this much knowledge. You should be able to create this diagram if asked to. BAs will have this information. Because as part of the requirements gathering, the requirements that you would have gathered for all these opportunities, you would have known where the data is coming from, right? At least you would have known the source of the data. You might not know the exact data that comes across, but the source you would know, right? All right. All right, so we're gonna skip Hubeb. We're gonna go to Ozair. Ozair number 3, test strategy, sir.
Yes, sir. Test strategy. This section explains the strategy adopted by the UAT team to test and validate the requirements. Entry, etc. for UAT should be met to commence this test execution. If the entity criteria are not met, then IST team need to update the item which are good to go for UAT testing. UAT team will prioritize the items and execute test scripts to validate the changes from business perspectives. Once the functional testing is completed for US region, a final round for regression testing will be performed to ensure the new changes did not affect the existing functionality. For APEC and EMA, regional specific as well as the other EMEA
E,
as well.
say it like this, me.
EMEA. Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Correct. That's what it stands for.
Regional specific as well as other common critical test cases will be identified by BAs and same will be executed. The UAT will focus on below major components. Number 1, functionality testing. Number 2, regression testing manually. Number 3, sanity testing.
Good. Okay. So that is the overall test strategy. There are 3 levels of testing that will happen. There will be a functional round of testing, there will be a regression round, and there will be a sanity round. Okay. Well read, Uzair. Rahman, why don't you walk us through the functional testing cycle first?
You need to excuse me for a while. I'm driving right now. I'm listening.
You are driving
Sorry.
right now. That's why I couldn't hear you very well. All right, Samraksha, batter up.
Functional testing. UAT team will propose test scenarios and appropriate test cases, ensuring test coverage prior to functional testing. Test execution will be performed upon test scenario and test cases approval from the respective business users. The test scenario and the cases will be designed in such a way to address the extensive positive and negative flow coverage of the applications, verify the input and outputs. The UAT test case execution process for each unit of functionality is illustrated below. Number 1, test cases are executed to validate requirement. UAT team will test all the application functionalities end to end and in terms of the business flow to ensure the coverage in the 3 regions. UAT team will execute the test cases using the below profile reference section 4.8 in a mixed manner. For APEC and EMEA, regional specific and other common critical identified test case will be executed. For number 5, for end-to-end validation, UAT team may request access for source system is one source, project one source CRM is fund navigator, GMIS, alerts, PT, etc. to modify or verify the data. Number 6, once all test cases are passed and sufficiently regression tested, the result will be shared back with the business analyst for sign off.
Any question? on functional testing. Oh, there's one more section. So let's read UAT test strategy and test plan. Well read. So much so far. Continue.
Documents.
No, UAT test scenario and test cases. You have to read it like a paragraph. Okay, here is similar. So you will say the high-level test scenarios will list the basic functionality and scope for the testing at a high level. These are authored and maintained by UAT team and reviewed and approved by the business analyst. All right. Now read the second line.
Test cases and script. Test cases break high-level scenarios down to its individual permutations, and test script break test cases down further into its individual step, which is authored and maintained by the UAD team and reviewed and approved by the business analyst.
Okay. Any questions? And the last one, we also have one more small section, which is UAT tracking plan.
UAT defect review call will be conducted on daily basis with development, production support, business users, UAT team, and other key participants to discuss about the defect raised by each day. Weekly status report call will be conducted once in a week to reveal the week status or progress of UAT with UAT COE owners.
Okay. Any question, guys, on the regular function round? All right, Sayed, you got regression and sanity both, okay?
Regression testing. Regression testing will be performed during UAT with the final execution of the end-to-end scripts executed at the end of the functional acceptance test to ensure that all the functionality remains unchanged. UAT will manually execute the applicable end-to-end test cases as part of regression testing. For APAC and EMEA, regional specific critical business scenarios will be executed as part of regression testing. Sanity testing. Sanity testing will be executed in the UAT environment. The objective of the sanity test is to establish that the components are of enough quality to enter user acceptance testing. The dev team and the UAT team will have a discussion on the sanity test results. If the results are negative, the sanity test will act as an entry criterion for UAT.
Everybody clear? Questions? All right.
Oh, what kind of sanity testing we will be doing? Like,
What kind of sanity testing? Well, depends on what application you're testing.
yeah, I mean, like, can you give first, like, example? First, I know regression testing,
Okay, what is regression testing, is it?
like it. Why I did use on like an Excel formula.
Okay, so you regress tested an Excel formula. Okay.
Yeah,
What were you regression testing?
yeah. This was just a line. Basically, we will try to figure out like the points.
Line.
That's
Regression.
It was a lie, not a line.
statistic.
That's right.
That's statistical regression.
Yeah, that was usually I done that. Yeah.
But what does the word regress mean? What does the word regress mean? The definition of regression is what?
Going back
Going back where?
to the earlier stage.
Earlier
No, not to
before.
the earlier
Yes.
stage. Going back and testing again, not to the earlier stage. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is testing the earlier functionality. So,
Yeah.
okay, so let's go through the whole cycle. Okay, this will clear up everything. All right. So let's think about, we want to test an application. Okay. So the testing team has written, let's say, 6,000 test cases. Okay. And the testing team was given 8 weeks to perform their full cycle. So UAT team, you have 8 weeks to certify the application. You better be writing this step down as always. How many weeks do you have to certify the application?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay, so now there's going to be 2 rounds of testing you will do. You will start off by doing the functional round of testing, right? Which will be executing from 0 test case to 6,000 test case, correct? And then you're going to be doing a round of regression at the end of the functional. So first you do regression cycle, then you do, first you do functional cycle, then you do regression cycle. All right. You divide the typically timeline is divided around 80-20. 80% to complete the functional round, 20% to complete the regression, give or take. Okay, so if you talk about 8 weeks, that gives me how many weeks to do functional and how many to do regression?
Like 6 weeks we can do in function.
6 weeks for functional testing and
2 weeks for regression.
2 weeks for regression. Everybody with me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. How many test cases do I need to execute in those 6 weeks on an average?
We have 6,000 test cases total, so we have to perform all of them.
Execute about how many a week?
In like 1 week we have to do like 5,000. No,
How are you going to do 5,000 in a week?
no, sorry.
How many weeks do you have, guys? You
8
can't
weeks we
do
have,
that.
and 1 week we can do 1,000.
You have 6 weeks to perform 6,000 test cases. So how many per week? Simple math, man.
1,000.
6,000 divided by 6. 1,000 per week. Why is it everybody struggling so much? So now you need to be able to execute about 1,000 test cases a week, right? About how many test cases does a average tester test in a day or in a week? What do you think? And I mean, I'm not talking about complex test cases. I'm talking about average complexity test cases.
100 cases in a day.
100 in a day. 8 minutes a test case.
Depending upon like
What are you testing? A, B, C, D? 1 plus 1? No, man. 100 test cases means you wouldn't raise your head off the damn table.
okay.
Maybe Uzair is still trying to Uzair is still trying to test his Excel. I'm talking about functions of an application, Uzair, not an Excel,
Okay.
right? On an average, it's about 40 to 50 in a day. So if you're doing about 40 to 50 in a day, in a week, it would be about what? Remember, when you run into defect,
200.
you stop testing and you have to log that defect. You understand? And you have to go and you have to rerun that test case one more time to make sure it is still failing. You understand? So if you were testing about 40 to 50 a day, in a week you would test about how much?
200 or
200.
250.
2 to 200 to 250, correct? So of course, when you're trying to do your estimates, which number would you work with? Would you work with the 200 test cases or the 250 test cases number to figure out how many testers you need? Which number would you take?
200.
The 200. You always take the less one, right? You want to leave some buffer, correct? So if my one tester is doing 200, how many testers do I need to execute about 1,000 in a week?
5.
So you would need a 5-member testing team. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Now you could also have your test lead that will test also. So you could get away with 4. But if it was my choice, I would get all 5. Okay? So that's how we determine the size of the testing team, the number of testers. Everybody clear? There's junior business analyst said, yep.
He said, yep.
All right. Saying, why does Jose's junior business analyst understand these things and my senior business analysts say you don't want to understand? All right. So let's move on. If you are executing, let's say you were right on schedule for your testing. So week 1, how many test cases you executed?
1000.
1000, right? Do you think all will pass?
No.
No, all will not pass. What is a good pass percentage? Meaning your development team really did their good job. They did unit testing, they did their testing during the dev cycle, they did DIT and all that good stuff. So, you know, when you get the application, it's quite stable. What's a good percentage of test pass?
90%.
90% is really good. Typically 85 is also considered pretty good. Remember, you're at the earliest stages of testing, right? So 80 to 90%. Okay, let's just say we'll do it easy. So we'll give you the 90% pass rate. Easy, easy. Okay. If you executed 1,000 test cases and 90% of them passed, how many test cases passed?
900.
900. How many failed?
100.
100, right? What are you going to do with these 100 test cases that failed?
Recheck again.
Say that again. Okay, so you'll re-verify them. Let's say they're still failing. Okay, so it wasn't a fluke. Now what?
Maybe a bug or
Why are you saying maybe? For sure it's a bug,
yeah,
right? So now you need to log how many defects?
100.
So now you have 100 defects. Clear?
Yes.
So 900 passed, 100 failed, right? What are you going to do with these bugs? You're going to log them. And what is development team going to start doing?
They are working on 900.
Why the hell are they working on 900? They're going to work on the ones that pass?
No, I mean like, oh yeah, this was fast. Yeah. The 100 one.
They're going to work on the bugs, right?
Yes.
So they're going to work on the 100 defects you have logged. All right. So now you get to week number 2 and you're still going on track. So how many more test cases did you execute in week 2?
1000.
All right. So total number of test cases executed?
1000.
2000.
2000.
2000. Let's still continue with the same pass percentage. So if we pass 90% out of the 2000, how many have passed?
900.
1800.
1800 by
Sorry.
9. 1800. How many have failed?
200.
Now you're up to 200 test cases failed. Okay. Everybody there?
Yeah.
So now you have how many defects?
200.
200.
200 defects. Everybody right? And we are about to start which week of testing?
Third week.
Third week. Now by this time, I'm pretty sure the development team would have fixed some
Yeah.
of the defects
Yeah.
that you already identified in week 1, right?
Yeah.
And what do they give you? They give you a patch, right? So let's say you were testing version 1.1 of the code base, right? Now they will give you version 1.2, okay, of the code base. This is not release, this is code base version, okay? And now they deploy 1.2. When they deploy 1.2, the very first thing that the testing team will do is a round of sanity testing. What is sanity testing? Sanity testing is briefly going through the application, making sure that we are able to log in, all the pages are coming up, the data is there, I don't have blank pages, I'm able to do the major functionalities. Typically, sanity testing is a quick round of testing, about an hour or so, hour or two on the max side. Okay? That's why it says that negative results from the sanity act as a criterion for UAT to continue. So in other words, if my pages are coming up blank, I can't log in. Can I continue doing UAT testing?
No.
Can I continue on an application which has blank pages coming up, data missing?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
No. How the hell am I going to test a page that is blank? Right? What do you need to do right now? Either the development team will need to fix these issues right there and then, and if they can't fix them, they will need to roll back to the previous version, meaning 1.1. You got it? That's how sanity testing occurs. Sanity testing is a quick round of thing. So let's say the sanity test was well, and patch number 1.2 is okay. All right. Now, what do we do with our testing? Do we go back to 0 and test everything again on this version 1.2? Or do we continue where we left off?
We continue where we left off.
We continue where we left off, because if I go back,
fast.
then how many more weeks do I need again?
Again, 3 weeks.
6.
6, yeah.
Right? And when they give me another patch, do I reset the counter and start all over again? I'll never end. You understand what I'm saying, guys?
Yes.
All right. So we continue. Now, if you are continuing, those 900 test cases that passed on week 1 and then the other 900 that passed on week 2, are you testing them again?
No.
No. How do you know that this 1.2 patch that came in didn't have an adverse effect on any of the test cases that previously passed? How do you know that?
Regression testing. So I have
Regression testing at the end. Okay, you will test those 100 that failed. At least you will test the ones that testing team, the development team is saying that they provided fixes for, right?
Yes.
Right, but you're not going to test anything that they did not provide a fix for. Why would you test that one again, right? So let's say you did everything as you did, and you had a really high test pass percentage. So if you had a 90% pass percentage through the full execution, which is very rare, right? 10% of 6,000 is what?
600.
600. So your total number of test cases you would have executed by the time you were done would have been 6,600, right? With a 90% pass rate, correct?
Yes.
What if it was an 80% pass rate? What's 20% of 6,000?
Yes. 800.
No, yaar.
1200.
1,200. Your math sucks. It's double, right? 10% agar 600 hai, 20% will be 1,200. Double it. So now the total test cases that you might have to execute if they provided a fix for every defect would be 7,200.
Yeah.
You got it? So
Yes.
you see how the numbers are adding up, because everything that fails will need to be retested. So you will execute that test case twice, at least. If it still is failing, you might be executing that test case a third time even. You understand?
Yeah.
That is why you take the 200 per developer, per tester rather than the 250. You got it? Everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's say you did a good round, testing was good, everything was looking good, and now you come to the end of the 6 weeks. Hopefully you should be 100% executed, because that is one of the criterias for getting a sign off, to be 100% executed with your functional round. And now we will start what round of testing?
Regression, 20%.
Regression. All right. So how many weeks we have for regression?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, right? With the same team, what is the maximum test cases we can execute in 2 weeks?
1,000.
2000.
2,000. 1,000 a week, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
2000.
2,000 test cases.
Yes.
And remind me again, how many test cases do we have total?
Are you taking the 90% or 80%?
I am taking the 100%.
6,000.
Why would I take 90% or 10% or anything like that? Right? Regression should be done on all the functionality, no?
Yes.
Right? So if you are taking 6,000 test cases and all you can execute is 2,000 test cases, how do you do that?
We need more people.
So you're going to hire more people for those 2 weeks and then fire them after that. Is that your plan, Jose?
Or we can do like a certain percentage.
You will do a certain percentage, right? What percentage will be that? According to the time remaining, it will be a third of them, right? But you need to identify which 2,000 test cases out of the 6,000 are most critical for your application. You understand?
Okay.
Right? See the last line? Business specific critical business scenarios will be executed as part of regression testing. You see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Because you can't execute the whole damn thing. If you needed to execute, how many weeks do you need? You need another
6 weeks. Yeah.
6
4
weeks.
weeks. Yeah.
6 weeks more, right? 6 for functional, 6 for regression, right?
Yes.
Right? But you don't have that, right? You've only given 8
2
weeks,
weeks. Yeah.
right? Total testing. 6 for functional and 2 for regression. Sometimes they even give you 90-10, 90%, you know, your regular cycle, 10% regression. Okay, skim through it. Everybody clear how that works?
Yes. And the Sanity team that will be running those tests.
The same 5 testers that do a quick round of sanity.
Okay.
There's no separate sanity team. The same
Okay.
team.
Same team will be running.
Same team does regression, same team does sanity, same team does fish functional.
Okay.
No separate teams. This is all UAT team. And just like how UAT has a regression and before regression has a functional, same way QA team will also do. QA will also have a functional round followed by a regression round.
Yeah.
But their regression can go beyond their 8 weeks. Why? Because after they are done, UAT begins, right? So QA can continue doing regression even during the UAT cycle, right? But remember, when UAT ends, what are we going into? We're going into deployment stage, right?
Yes.
There is no time to test after UAT, but there is time to test after QA, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Hold on, guys, one second. Sorry about that. So that's the entire set of regression, sanity, functional testing. Everybody clear on how testing works? What are the different rounds? Everything? Yes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Test scope, I'm not going to spend time on because this is test scope specific to this application. So you can see this is coming straight from the requirements. They've said that these are the top level functions that they will be testing. And in each function, they're listing the different high level functions that they will test for dashboard, for in-view framework, for client reporting, right? Client reporting, of course, being the biggest function of the application, right? So it has the most functionality in it, right? Then for portfolio asset allocation tool, right? For banker book, for opportunities, right? So these is coming right from the high level requirements from the business requirements and functional requirements, right? Connect, digital vault, right? Okay. All right. So now let's jump into in scope and out of scope. So who was the last one that read? Was it Samraksha that read, or is it Sayed?
I read.
You read. Okay, so we'll come back to the top. Muhammad Salahuddin.
In scope, end-to-end validation for all application functionalities in terms of business flows to ensure that coverage in all three regions, US, LATAM, APAC, and EMEA, to support the business checkout after code release to production. Out of scope. The UAT team will not test any ETL and feed validations. UAT team will not perform database testing. Performance testing will be performed by IST and results need to be shared to UAT team, which is later used for evaluation. The end users are designated proxy testers from the business to do a final sanity check to ensure the final product is what they expected. Traditionals is pushed back to either midpoint or June, TBC.
Any questions? All right. Was there? Section 6 is important because section 6 talks about what is the entry criteria and what is the exit criteria. All right. So entry criteria means things that need to actually happen for UAT to begin. And exit criteria is things that need to happen for UAT to complete or exit. So both of these are very important. All right. Go ahead. Let's start entry criteria.
Yeah, entry criteria. Point number 1. The UAT plan and strategy has been verified and approved. This has been approved by all stakeholders. Point number 2. All UAT environments and interface are set up and operational by production support. Point number 3. All UAT scenarios and scripts are completed, reviewed, and approved by UAT team, business approvers. Point number 4. Each new business must pass unit testing by the development team, if any development team. Point number 5. Developer must resolve all defects identified during unit testing phase and mark for fix. If there are any unfixed defects, those should be mentioned in the release notes as known issues. These are done by development team. Point number 6. Release notes should be documented and made available to UAT team before each UAT package is deployed. This is done by IST lead. Point number 7. Integrated system team should be completed with no blocking defects in open status.
Testing.
Sorry?
Integrated system testing.
Yes, sir.
You
Okay.
said team.
Okay, yeah. Integrated system tests should be completed with no block defect in open status, and if not, IST team need to update clarity the items which are goods to go for UAT testing. This is being done by IST lead. Point number 8. Any new business requirements, documents, and requirement tracker, if any, should be available in UAT for better functional and technical understanding. This can be done by business analyst and development team. Point number 9. Each new build must pass sanity testing by the UAT, if any UAT team. Point number 10. Quality center access and credentials are established for all test participants to ensure defect tracking and logging. This has been done by UAT lead.
Any questions? So that was the entry criterion. This is the exit criterion, even more important, right? If you don't meet these criterias, UAT will not give you a sign off. Go ahead, sir, continue.
So exit criteria. Point number 1. Execution of all the functional test cases and found passed successfully. This can be done by UAT team. Point number 2. All item and scope has been tested successfully by UAT team. Point number 3. Completion of regression testing as planned. This is also done by UAT team. Point number 4. All showstopper and high issue raised has been fixed and successfully tested and found passed. This is also done by UAT team. Point number 5. If defect raised during UAT cannot be fixed for the release, then these need to have been issued, reviewed, prioritized, scheduled, and approved by business and technology to determine when they will be fixed and implemented. This can be done by two teams, UAT team and business approvers. Point number 6. Documentation of test cases and condition for all systems has been properly updated, indicated actual test results, and no documents securely filled for future regularity audit reviews. This is also done by UAT. Point number 7. Performance testing completed with result reviewed by all stakeholders, including production support. This is done by IST team.
Any questions, guys?
Showstoppers.
Yes. What about them? Same thing as the
What is
blockers.
Sorry?
Same thing as the blockers defects.
Okay.
Showstopper and blocker is the same definition.
Got it. Thank you.
Any questions? Need to know these. All right. Assumptions and dependencies, I'm not going to go through because they're again assumptions and dependencies according to this application, but this is where they would be listed. They've even gone ahead and broken down the module level dependencies to say, like, for this particular module, right, which is book, right? Book has these different functions underneath it. And what is the dependency for each of them? In other words, ETL feed load should happen on InView feed cutoff date, as of date should match with P1 services, right? So they're clearly telling you what needs to happen and what are the dependencies. So they've even identified that. All right. All right, now we come to a very important thing, which is defect tracking and reporting. In other words, this is what we call the life cycle of a defect, right? So who's up next? Who's up next? Rahman, still driving?
Yeah, I can read right now. I'm gonna basically parking. Okay. Okay.
Why do you have to
Uh,
drive on the day that you have a class?
Saturday, yeah, I need to do some pickup and drop, like family members here.
All right. All right, Mr. Uber, start reading.
Okay. 8.1 defect tracking. If an issue is sorry, if an issue is detected, sorry, I mean mobile script. Yeah, it's trouble. So if an issue is detected during sanity test or test execution phase, then the following process will follow. UAT team logs new issues in defect management load. Sorry, load or total. I'm sorry, I think the screen is giving me trouble. Can anybody else volunteer? I apologize. I think it's
Rahman, you're killing me, man. All right. Who's up next? Samraksha?
Yeah.
Defect tracking and reporting, please.
Defect tracking. If an issue is detected during the sanity test or test execution phase, then the following process will follow. UAT team logs new issues in the defect management tool. Defect call organize and the issue log in the defect management tool are discussed in the detail. If an issue is found to be valid, it is assigned to the developers in the defect management tool. If it is not an issue, it is rejected in the defect management tool and the test cases will be updated to reflect the expected behavior. If it is an issue that must be defer, it is marked as defer. Issues are defer when they cannot be included in the immediate release due to the time or source constraint, but are planned for the resolution with a future release. If a defect is logged in the defect management tool, the developer to whom it is assigned can fix the issue and send it to the IST for the retest and then to the UAT for the retest. The UAT team will retest the issue. If it is found working, they can close the issue in defect management tool. If it is not found working, then it can be sent back to the development for further clarifications or remediations. If any there is any new change request or enhancement requests that come up during the UAT, it needed to be communicated to UAT COE well in advance, either be a change tracker or updated BRD to ensure we have enough time to understand the requirements and perform testing. UAT plan will be rescheduled accordingly.
Any questions on this here, guys? Very important to understand how the defects work, how they get passed in. So if a defect is even identified in the UAT, it gets assigned to the development team for fixing, right? The very first place that fix will show up is in the dev environment. And that's where the BA himself will validate the defect in the development cycle, right? In the dev environment. After they figure that out, they test it successfully, then that code package is first released to QA. QA will validate that defect and will confirm that it's working. So first the BA will verify it in dev, then the QA should verify it in QA, then the defect will be raised to UAT and UAT will verify it. And since the defect was raised by UAT, it will be closed by UAT. So whoever identifies the defect is the one that is only authorized to close it. So development defects, of course, are identified by development, closed by development. QA is identified by QA, closed by QA. UAT is identified by UAT and closed by UAT. Other people do not have the right to close defects. Only the one that is authoring the defect, the one that identified, he's the one or she's the one that will retest it and close it. Understood? But it will go through the chain. Everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. And here is the classification of the defects. So please, Samaksha, if you can finish this off. What are the different classifications and what it means?
So stopper, meaning the impact of the defect is very severe and testing and or implementation cannot proceed without resolving the problem. High. The impact of the defect is severe and an interim solution is not available for the system to go into the production environment without resolving the problem. Medium. The impact of the defect is not severe and an interim solution is available for the system to go into the production environment without resolving the problem. These are also the defects that could potentially be resolved via documentation law. Defect that does not need to be corrected immediately or can be considered as requirement for the next release.
Any questions on the defect classification here? So they have showstoppers, they have highs. Some of the other ones will call them blockers and criticals, right? They call them showstoppers and high. Everybody clear? All right, reporting and tracking. So Sayed, you're up, right?
Yeah, reporting and tracking. Overall progress is tracked throughout the testing lifecycle. The overall progress of test design and execution is reported by UAT team throughout status tracker. The progress of testing efforts across each week is reported in weekly status report and delivered during the weekly call organized. Documents used for reporting and tracking are status tracker reports overall progress of test execution by each change request authorized by the on-site UAT lead. The weekly status report is consolidated report of weekly efforts, defects, raised, closed, and overall testing progress authorized by the UAT lead. Technical risk identification.
No,
Oh,
that's good.
okay.
So technical risk identification, we're not going to spend too much time on that. We'll leave that, but it is a good section for you guys to read through because it identifies different things that can happen. For example, if you have an increase in the scope of your release, this is a high severity item. What can it impact? It can impact the UAT planning, the UAT design, execution, and the UAT certification schedule. And then how do we mitigate this? Well, requirements introduced should be taken upon by the UAT team upon arriving from the UAT COE owners. The UAT plan will be rescheduled accordingly. In the event you have a shortage of time, UAT team will extend their working hours where possible to complete the execution to meet the certification date. So these are actual scenarios that do occur, and you should read through them. It's good because these are like, things that can occur during the testing cycle. Okay, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. What I will go on is briefly touch base upon the UAT schedule. So you can see the UAT schedule was that they would be doing their test planning and their designing of their test cases. That would occur in the month of January. So from 2nd Jan through the end of Jan. And they were looking to have the UAT design sign off completed after doing the review. And that was expected to be done by the 8th. And then the actual execution would begin. And the actual execution is between the 11th of Feb through 5th of April, right? This is the 8 weeks that we were talking about. Then the UAT sign off was expected to complete by the 5th of April because starting the 8th through the 11th, which is the weekend, we would actually go ahead and we would deploy the application. They would do the sanity testing, and then the application would officially be live for the end users starting on the 12th. So that was the overall UAT schedule. This is, of course, in line with the overall project plan. Any questions?
The go live here means that the deployment phase had started, right? Or
Not deployment, the application is live. The deployment is happening in UAT dry run, 8th through the 11th. This is the deployment actually happening. We only deploy after UAT gives us a sign off, right? What day did we get the sign off?
5th April.
5th April. So the week after the 5th, 8th through the 11th, that's why we are doing the deployment. We are making sure the application sanity is good, everything looks fine, and it is officially live on the 12th. Clear?
Yeah, one more thing from way before. I understood what the functional testing was and regression testing was. Could you give me a brief summary on what the sanity was? Sanity
I
testing?
already did. What did I say, Sanity?
Yeah, but that was way before I should have asked that, but I didn't completely understand it. Could you like?
Sanity testing is the team, the testing team going through and quickly looking at all the screens and making sure that the application is working as expected in the sense that the data is coming up, the screen's coming up. They're not doing a deep dive because Sanity is quickly, right? So for example, let's say you came to a job interview, right? And you are wearing flip-flops and shorts. I look at you from the top to the bottom. What do I think you are? Crazy, right?
Yeah,
So that was your sanity check right there. And you failed your sanity check, right? I'm probably not even going to be asking you many questions now because you failed the sanity test. You understand?
yeah, I understand perfectly.
It's your
Thank you.
first impression. Same
Yeah,
way, whenever we give a code base, we quickly do a quick round of sanity where we check, are we able to log in? Are the pages coming up? Is the data showing up? We're not validating the data. We're not validating the function. We're just doing a quick look over the application. Clear?
yep,
That's a sanity round. So even when we go to production, right? And we deploy to production, say we are releasing a new version, how long do you think I can keep production environment down? So say you're using your banking app, right? Say it. Sayuddin. What bank do you use? Mohammed?
yeah.
What bank do you use?
Beauty Bank,
Huh?
Beauty Bank,
Which bank?
Beauty, BUSEY.
Boozy.
Yeah,
That's a very strange name for a bank. All right. So you use Boozy Bank. So if you're using Boozy Bank and they're doing a new update to your mobile app, how many days do you think they can take the application away from you?
not many.
Not many, right? Probably it's going to happen on a Sunday, right? And they're quickly going to go ahead and bring the application down. You will see the sign that says maintenance in progress, right?
Yes,
And they're going to go ahead and they're going to deploy it and they'll do a quick round of sanity, right? Just to make sure that the deployment went successfully, the application is working, pages are coming up. Are they going to be doing those 6,000 test cases in sanity?
no,
Of course not, right? They may have a 50 or 60 or maybe 100 test cases that they'll quickly execute to make sure everything looks fine. And then they will turn the traffic back on, right? That is a quick round of sanity testing. By the way, sanity testing is also sometimes known as smoke testing. Got it? Because they want to make
got
sure
it.
there is no fire behind the smoke. You understand?
Yes.
That's why it's called smoke testing. Any questions, guys? All right. So the last thing we want to go through today is section number 12, which is the actual test cases. So the test cases, I've embedded them in this document. So if you double click on this zip folder right here, it should open a zip dialog. And in the zip dialog, if you click open, it will open the Excel right here. Double click on this one, that should launch the Excel file that has the actual test cases in it. Okay, so this is the test cases. So we'll start off with the bottom. So let's go to the very first tab. Okay, so this is the actual test cases. This is a QA test case, right? And this one was being done by Hexaware. Hexaware was the company that we were using, right? And this is created by Sharath. Sharath is the test lead. It has the BRD reference, in meaning InView BRD version 1.1 and FRD InView portfolio version 0.2. Those are the BRD and FRD references, okay? This is going to be testing the client portfolio landing page. This is just one page that they're planning on testing. And the client portfolio landing page has a total of 6 different modules. It has scope, filter, overview, asset allocation, change in market value, and most active. These are the things that they're planning on testing. And you can see that they have identified different scenarios for each of the modules. So scope has total of 5 scenarios, and those 5 scenarios are covered by 47 test cases. So if you count the total number of scenarios that they're planning to execute, 21 different scenarios they will test. Right here you see on the bottom right. And the total number of test cases for this page is 261. Everybody clear? All right. The bottom section here is their document control, right? So you can see this document has also gone through multiple versions, right? It started with version 1, got updated to version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. And you can see Sharath, which is the test lead, was the one that was managing this. And the document was also reviewed by one of his peers, Karthik and Nishikala. And then you can see the action, in other words, the reason why the document was updated. So they removed some test cases, they updated this, they added 2 new steps in this. So this is the calls for the update. And you can see the date that this document was completed. So you can see this team is in India because they're using the DDMMYYY format, right? Any questions on the first tab? Everybody good? All right. The second tab is the high level scenarios. So this is their version of kind of like a RTM almost. So they're saying exactly where they found each scenario. So they listed all 21 scenarios. You can see the first column is listing all 21 scenarios that they plan to test, right? And then they're saying where they found the scenario. In other words, what was the BRD reference and what was the FRD reference where they pulled this scenario up from, right? And then column G has the actual scenario ID. Excuse me. So you can see they're using PF. PF stands for Portfolio Financials underscore test scenario 01 all the way through test scenario. How many? 21. They've listed them. And here is a description of the scenario that they plan to test. For example, scenario 1 is ensure the display of the Explorer screen in the portfolio landing page. And that scenario is covered by 17 test cases. And these are the unique identifiers of the test case ID. So it's portfolio financial, test scenario 01 underscore test case 01 through test case 17. Everybody clear? You see how they're breaking their unique ID? They use portfolio financial, test scenario ID, and then the test case ID to make it a unique test case. Everybody clear? Any questions on the high level scenario mapping? So if you told them that no, this test case is not valid, this is not per the requirements, they will actually pull up the requirements document. They'll go to this page, they'll go to this section, and they will try to see, you know, why, what they understood and how did their understanding was not correct. Understood? Just like how in RTM maps the requirements. This is also requirements being mapped to the test cases. Do we have any questions on this, guys, before we go to the actual test cases?
We'll have tomorrow, sir.
Huh?
We'll have questions tomorrow after reading the whole document again.
Rahman, you'll have questions when you pull over and log into a machine.
Yes, sir.
You ain't having no questions looking at that little iPhone. or Samsung, whichever one you're using. Right? And you've had this document for over a week now, bro.
Yeah.
All right. The next tab is the test cases. So this is how a test case is written. So we'll go column by column. The first column, of course, is the serial number. So this is your test case number 1. Column B is the particular test case scenario ID. This is portfolio underscore test scenario 01. So if you scroll down here, the first 17 all belong to test scenario number 1, right? So if I go to number 18, 18 starts with test scenario number 2. You can see the first one is ensure the display of the Explorer screen in the portfolio landing page. Second one is to ensure that the display of the scope in the portfolio landing page. So the first one was for landing page. The second one is for the scope function. Then you have column D, which is the priority. So these are high test cases, medium test cases, low. Category, are these functional or non-functional? Test type, we talked about these. Are these positive test scenarios or negative test scenarios, right? Positive test scenarios test the positive functionality. Negative test cases test the negative functionality, meaning entering the right user ID, right password, positive flow. Entering the right ID with the wrong password, negative flow. Both have to be tested. Column G is any kind of data source requirements. Column H is your actual test case ID. So this one is the actual test case number 1. So it's portfolio financial test scenario 01 underscore test case 01. Now column I, J, K, and L is specifically for this application because this is a multi-regional application. Meaning, does this test case apply to US region? Does it apply to LATAM? Does it apply to EMEA? Does it apply to APAC? And if the answer is yes, you put yes in all of them. If the answer is no, then you put a no. So that means that this particular test case actually has to be tested for all 4 regions. And it is applicable for all 4 regions. Everybody clear? Guys, you're awfully quiet. I'm so scared that you guys are like gaga land right now.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
All right. Stay with me. We're almost there. All right. Test case description. So this is the actual description of the test case. We need to verify the default landing page of the portfolio. Column N, test bed. This is being tested in the UAT environment. What are the preconditions? The precondition is that the ID that you're logging in, meaning the user's profile, has to be a banker profile. All right. Now, column O, P, and Q are the actual test cases, the script, test script. So this one actually has 5 steps. Okay. Step number 1, log into the application using a valid user credential. What is the expected result? The user should be logged into the application on giving valid credentials. Step 2, verify that the user has landed on the dashboard. User should land on the dashboard page. Step 3, click on the menu, portfolio, financials. Expected results, financials should get selected under the menu. 4, verify that the user has navigated to the Explorer screen of the portfolio page. User should be navigated to the Explorer screen. So it is action and what is the expectation. And last one is verify that the Explorer screen is made up of the following. You should have the place title bar. You should have the Explorer header. You should have a filters tab. You should have the scope panel. And you should have the 4 quadrants on that page. Expected result, the Explorer screen should be made up of the listed components. So this is the test script, the steps to execute that test case, which should be based on, of course, the requirements and the process flows in the FRD. All right. Any questions on the test script?
No, sir.
All right. Very descriptive, easy English, right? Understood by the business users, right? All right. Column R is additional comments that may have been received by the BA when they did the review. And here's the comment that actually they got. And the BA told back and said, look, under the portfolio, it will say financials. But if the user would click on it or tap on the financials, then he would be navigated to the Explorer screen. In other words, financials will not get selected. If he clicks on financials, he is being sent to financials. You understand the difference between what these guys have written? So in other words, this is the expected results. Verified that the user is navigated to the Explorer screen. So this should be actually here. You got it?
Mhm.
So that's what the BA has told them that look, this is not the correct expectations. The financial should not get selected under the menu. The user should actually be navigated to the Explorer screen. Understood?
Right.
Right? Column T is the actual result. Now, of course, this is a pre-test. This has not been executed. This is just the test script put together. But once they would start executing it, the results would start coming here. What was the actual result? Did the test case pass or fail? What was the comment from the reviewer? What was the date this test case was executed? Who was the tester that executed it? And as I said, if the test case fails, then you should also have a peer do a review of it to make sure that both of them are getting the same result. In other words, both of their test cases are failing. Everybody clear? So this is how one goes by doing the writing the test cases. So now if you were to go ahead and write your own, you can simply come here and you can delete all of this here, right? And fill it according to your own. You got it? You already have the template here for test cases. Everybody clear?
Yes.
That's it for today, guys. We are now done with the test document. We're done with all the QA. You've seen test cases. You've seen how test cases are written. You understand the different types of testing. How do we go by doing that? How do we log defects? How do we run the cycle? The different types of testing. Everything is up to speed now. Any questions?
Hmm.
Okay, so tomorrow's class, we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be doing the final walkthrough, which is the walkthrough of the BRD. All right. And you're going to be seeing some real live BRD and you're going to be seeing some real live use cases in the BRD itself. All right. That's for tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow's class. Very important. All right. And at the end of the class, we're going to go ahead and try to use that 1 hour and try to, go through some homework assignments. Hopefully we'll be up and running at 9. All right. Any questions for me, guys?
One regarding homework assignment, sir.
What about it?
So the individual process flow.
Yes.
So when I was doing it, so just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So like you assign me search for items use case. So
Okay.
you want me to like, okay, so the four actors or like two major actors, guest and
Actors are not in the process flow diagram, right?
actors are not in the process flow diagram.
Nothing to do with the process.
Okay, so they are so you want the process flow of uh, the
Your
process.
process.
I got
Which process was assigned to you? Searching for an item, right?
yes,
So
yes.
outline how you go by searching for an item. Put it that in the diagram.
Okay, then it's going to be that simple diagram. Okay.
Well, it's not that simple. Let's see what you do.
I mean, I thought this is, I was doing the flow charting.
Yeah, flow chart for searching for an item.
So did you, have you been able to take a look
No, we're gonna do that tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Okay, I'll try again and see, okay, whether, yeah, I can do it completely. Okay.
Okay.
So I
Mhm.
have also a question in
Yeah.
alternative flow. So alternative flow should be negative of workflow, or what I mean to say is,
Alternative flow should be the negative scenarios from any of your diamonds, any decisions, any validations that's occurring.
so we have to I mean
Which is the
find
flow
what
you
is
would
the
assign?
sim
What
what
is
is
the use case? What is your use case?
create an auction.
Create an auction. All right.
So
So
we
say
have
you're
to
creating an
identify this.
auction and you leave one of the mandatory fields. What happens? So say you
We have
forgot to enter
some
the
alternate.
description of your item.
Yeah.
What happens?
So
Error
we have an
message.
System
alternate.
validates it, right? And what does the system do?
It's an error message.
Gives you an error message.
Mhm.
That has to be documented, right?
Mhm.
So when you leave a mandatory field blank
Mhm.
and I give you an error message, how do I give you the error message? What is the verbiage of the error message? How do I show it on the screen?
Okay.
Will I highlight that field? Will I put a little asterisk next to the field? Will I outline the border of the field? How will I be identifying that this is the field you forgot?
Okay.
That's an alternative flow.
So
Am I expecting you to leave that blank? No. In a
no.
basic flow, you would have filled all the fields, the system would have validated all the required fields, and the validation would have passed.
Yeah.
In an
So
alternative flow, the validation would have
fail.
failed. And the failure would have resulted in an error message and the user being identified which fields he needs to fill. The user will then go ahead and will fill the field, and then that line will go right back to the validation.
Okay.
You sound like I just spoke in German.
No. So I want to give an example for login. So the alternative flow for the login is if you log in with the invalid username and password.
First of all, you will enter a user ID and password, right?
Yeah.
Then the system will validate it.
Yeah.
That validation should be in a diamond, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Then there should be two lines coming out of that diamond, correct?
Yeah.
One says validation
Pass.
pass. You'll be down to the next screen. If the
Yeah.
validation says fails, you will get a error message. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the negative flow will display an error message. And then after the error message, you will have a line going right back to entering your user ID and password again, right? Yes,
Yes.
there's your alternative flow.
Yeah.
You'll have multiple alternative flows. This is just one of them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
sure.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Oh, now everybody is waking up, huh?
uh, well, I have a few questions regarding this and something else too. So this document,
Let's go. I gotta go pick up my daughter. Come on, speed up.
okay, so the UAT document that we're just reviewing it and approving it, right? We're not actually creating it.
You don't create it, of course.
Yeah.
It's created by
Okay,
the team.
and also then the and the agile method, uh,
Agile
how
method.
yeah.
This is going to be as a subtask of the user story. So one of the subtasks of the user story would be to write the use case, write the test case and execute the test case. Those are two subtasks of the user story, right? Those subtasks are assigned to the tester.
Okay, got it. Also, okay. Did you happen to share any more slides in the past weeks that I was not present.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I wanted to see those. I wanted to receive those slides.
I'll send you my Swiss bank account number. As soon as you transfer the funds in that one, I'll be more than happy to share those with you. Or Syed here is looking to make a quick buck, so you can talk to Syed.
Yeah, sure. You want me to just forward it to him?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can you just put in your email on the chat?
Yeah.
This is what happens when you don't watch the videos. You don't realize that you're missing a full set of slides. All right. What else?
Nothing else. I'm done. Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. Call it a night or a day. So used to my night classes, right? And we'll see you tomorrow morning. All right, guys?
Hold on, don't leave the.
You want you want tomorrow's class to be like 10 to 1? If you want to do it that way, so you get a little bit sleep in. Most of
No,
us,
I mean earlier the better for me personally.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna call you for tahajjud. Okay. All right.
I'm awake, yeah.
And we'll do tahajjud together. Then we'll do suhoor together. Then after suhoor, we're gonna do fajr together,
And then the class.
right? And then we'll have class. Okay. So be ready for that.
Oh my god.
If you're providing suhoor, then fine.
Yeah. Providing suhoor.
So 10?
Actually, I'm gonna be out for Sahur tomorrow. So good God help me, how I'm gonna feel be in the morning.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
we're going with all the masjid guys are going out for Sahur tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna be awake from like 3 in the morning. And 3 to Fajr to go. Oh my God, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah. 10 to 1 is good for me.
Huh?
10 to 1 is good.
10 to
Unless
10 to 1. I'm okay with 10 to 1. Gives you a little bit more sleep in after, if you guys are up for Sahur and you're up for Fajr, that means you're waking up like 5 in the morning, right? If you're on the East Coast, right? And
I
you're
sent this
going to the
slash
masjid,
Muhammad.
you're not coming back till like 7. I don't
Thank
come
you.
back till like 7 and change. Yeah. The Imam knows me, man. He gets upset when I don't show up. He's like, "Where is Brother Ali?" I was like, "Oh my God. Imam knows you by name, then you're in trouble." All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. So 10 o'clock good?
Yes,
Or you prefer 9?
your
Syed
choice.
is for 9. Who
Your
is for 10?
I'm up for 9,
I'm from 9, yeah.
All right, then we'll do 9.
Okay, great.
and I didn't receive it, Sayed.
I'm not the one sending it. Syed is sending it.
Yeah, I was speaking to Sayed.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should have it. You gotta check the set.
You got your email, right? If you don't have it, complain to him tomorrow again, okay? Otherwise, I'll send it.
Yeah, you'll have it. Don't worry, it's just sent to you.
All right? I'll send it tomorrow. Okay? So goodbye, guys. I gotta run. Gotta go pick my daughter up.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Muhammad. Oh, it's out.